Welcome, everyone. This is Sit Down with Sid podcast, episode number 8. And today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine, all the way from Hong Kong. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist with over 8 years of experience. She specializes in anxiety, depression, anger management, fears, phobias, sports performance, pain management, hypnotherapy for Alzheimer's, and much, much more. She had her bachelor's in psychology and sociology from Carleton University in Canada, and then she went to get her certification in hypnosis and hypnotherapy from the Hypnotherapy Training Institute, which is in San Francisco, California. Also, something interesting about her. In 1999, she wrote, published, and marketed 2 successful travel and shopping guides on Hong Kong. With her successful practice, she has helped transform many people's lives with her kindness and compassion. That being said, let's welcome Ellen McNally. Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Hi, Sid. I'm good. Thank you for that introduction.
I hope I did an okay job there, right?
Yeah, we could have gone on for a few more hours on that alone. But yeah, thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm really excited.
I know I'm really happy. As you can see, I'm excited as well to have you on the podcast. So Alan, before we get into the hypnotherapy, I just want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your family background, etc.
Well, how far do I go back? When I came to Hong Kong when I was close to 40, and that's when I had my 2 children. And prior to that, for 20 years, I worked in marketing in Canada, marketing research. When I came here, I was simply thinking this is an opportunity to raise my kids. And I did that for 10 to 12 years, but kids get sick of their mother tagging around in them, and I got the message. And I was looking around for what to do, and it was kind of a time in history that something just fell on my lap. It was a time when China opened up. My husband came to do business in China. We decided to base in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was the place, 10 years before I came, where all international tourists came to buy at outlets because all the big brands were here. And by the time we arrived, China had opened up and everyone had gone to manufacture in China. And nobody had these great outlets to shop from anymore. So I had overheard that there was this place across the border that was selling, all these, everything from fashion, from brands for copies, jewelry, dressmakers. Just you bring a dress, they'll copy it. It was like, wow. And the second I heard about this, a friend was telling me, in my mind, I thought, I'm going to write a book about this. I just felt that the time was right. So, and I'm not a shopper. I don't like shopping. I buy all my clothes from one online outlet. So long story short, I wrote the book. I wrote a few updates, but, it was kind of fun because I learned I met you helped me with my website and my SEO and got me on the first page overnight. But it got to a point where it just was not satisfying. And I spent a long time trying to figure out what I wanted. And it's really hard to be in that in-between stage when that, it sounds crazy, but you're meant for something more important and you can't put your finger on it. And my brother, Michael, who's a friend of yours, announced to the family that he had pancreatic cancer. And of course, any family just comes together at a time like that. It's traumatic for everybody. And long story short, he was an athlete. He ran 10K a day every morning. He'd wake up before sunrise, and he had to go through. He caught it in time. He's still alive, but he had to go through like a very long operation on all his digestive organs, and he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to be his athletic self, the thing that he cherished most in the day. And so he decided to do hypnosis to help him recover from from the surgery. And this was a 10-12 hour operation. And he, once he woke up, after a few hours, he got out of bed. His mind was focused. 5 days later, he was running. This is not the 10-minute mile, but he was running. He had in a way focused his mind and his energies and his attention on healing his body. It just focused all his resources. And 5 days later, he was running. And, he'd already told us that. And that's what he did. And of course, today he's still running. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. It was just like a light went off, just happened for me.
So is it correct to say that it was the inspiration, your brother's experience was inspiration for you becoming a hypnotherapist?
Yeah. My brother's always been my inspiration, but that one, that was, that was the match that lit me up and got me going, and I haven't stopped since. I immediately figured out where I was going to study, and of course, hypnotherapy there are different branches, different approaches, and so I went to my first school, and it was regression hypnotherapy.
Was this the one in San Francisco where you got your?
This is the one in That's
okay.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's when the transformation changed. Like you went from marketing to hypnotherapist, and you said you're going to go to school, and this is the path you're going to choose, right?
Marketing in Canada, publishing in Hong Kong, and being fed up with shopping and looking for something meaningful. And as soon as, so I went to this school, and of course, in hypnotherapy, you are constantly updating. They're just, there are just so many facets of hypnotherapy. You could remain a generalist, but there are so many fascinating things to learn, from, how to help people with IBS completely recover, how to help someone who's heartbroken and has been holding on to their pain for years. Someone who just can't get up and speak at a meeting. It's transformational what you can do. And, the more you do it, the more, the more you can learn. And hypnotherapists are a very sharing community. They, you can write to the Facebook groups and say, listen, I've got this kind of client, I've done this and this and this, and they'll say, well, try this or try this. So it's a field in evolution. It's mushrooming. Yeah.
It's funny you said that, because I actually read this. It's a psychotherapy theory, research, and practice, and they published that compared to other forms of therapy, hypnosis ranks number one. And they, based on their findings, they analyzed that hypnotherapy has a 93% success rate after 6 sessions, compared to, listen to these numbers, 72% success rate for behavior therapy after 22 sessions, and 38% success rate after 600 sessions for psychotherapy. So, I mean, this is huge. I mean, when I got these numbers, I said, let me read it again and again, because this is amazing. Like, I never knew this thing, It's mind-boggling, like how successful this thing is,
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Ellen, let me ask you now, what is the best thing you like about being a hypnotherapist? What drives you?
I think being in the room when someone is experiencing a transformation, when someone goes from being terrified to suddenly being able to step out of it, or when people simply can imagine and practice in their mind in hypnosis, becoming the person they want to be, becoming the best tennis player, or learning to focus, to shut everything out and focus. This is, it's exciting to be in a room when someone comes in with one perspective and a state of mind that is not beneficial, not positive, and to so quickly see it turn around. And this is the power of hypnotherapy. It's different from talk therapy in that, as therapists, we don't really try to analyze or to explain the problem to excuse me, to a client. We help them get in a state of mind where they can begin to understand themselves, the perception they have, how they got that perception, how they can just as easily change it. That the unconscious mind can be really good at creating anxiety, but it can be equally good at creating calm. It's the message you give it. So,
Ellen, I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So is hypnosis, is it a state of trance? Is it a state of mind? Is the person subconscious? Are they in conscious state of mind? Can you just help me understand a little bit, and our audience?
I wish I could give you the precise answer to that question. It's a state of mind. It's a state of trance. It's what it is a very deep state of calm. If you simply think of the relaxation response, let's say you look at it from 1 to 10 and you're at 10, deeply relaxed. Hypnosis is just taking you a little bit deeper. You're totally conscious. You're totally awake. You are
So
aware.
Is it comparable to meditation? Or can I?
Yeah.
Is it right to
Yes,
say it's a form of deeper meditation, even deeper than meditation, or?
Meditation the quality, the depth of meditation can also go on a scale, and so can hypnosis. The only difference between meditation and hypnosis is hypnosis goes in with a reason, with an objective. We want to accomplish something in this session, and we agree. The client communicates, and that is my goal, my first step. How do you want to feel at the end of this session? What is it that you want to accomplish? And then we work towards that end. And the client is always, it's different. It's complicated because we say we work with the unconscious, and people think that means that they remain unconscious, but they don't. They're just like you and me. We kind of feel like we're always in a trance. You're right now in a podcast trance, Sid. I'm in an interviewee trance. And what we do in hypnosis is we allow the person to really relax deeply, and then we let them shift into the trance that they need to shift into to be able to, call on their own resources to know how to change a feeling, how to look at a situation from another point of view, how to step out of it and see themselves and understand that they're just focusing on this part of the problem, and to look around. And so the idea of hypnosis is to use 100% of your mind instead of the 10% that you and I are using right now. It's kind of an old thing that we've always heard, but when we think of the unconscious mind, we think of everything we believe in. We think of our thoughts, our feelings, our energy, our habits, our cardiovascular system, our pulmonary, all the complex systems of the body. They're all working at an unconscious level. Every cell in our body has a level of unconscious, and there's a kind of a synchronization in our body and in our mind. And our mind is not really up here. Our mind is in every cell in our body. So when we do hypnosis, I'm not even sure which question you asked me. I'm off already on.
No, it's okay. You're doing great. The only thing I wanted to just extend my question to the answer that you were giving is, I have read a lot. There is a lot of myth around online. Hypnosis and hypnotherapy is the same. Some say it's not. Do you feel a lot of people are reluctant? Some of them don't consider it safe. Like as an expert, can you just help the audience understand?
What a good question. What a good question. That question is at the root of a lot of fear about hypnotherapy. First, hypnosis and hypnotherapy, they're just different words for the same thing. But hypnosis might be a broader name for it. There are people who do performances. They do hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
There are, we could say that there are advertisers who do hypnosis. You don't even realize it, it's subliminal. Hypnotherapy is, the act of helping of someone resolve their issue, whether it's one of performing better, whether it's one of resolving a problem. So that's the answer to the first question. The second.
So is it, in simple words, is it right to say hypnosis is a tree and hypnotherapy is one of the branches of the tree?
It depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. It's just,
okay.
It's not, but it's a more general term.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But you could say that.
Okay. Thank you. Now back to the part of where, like, how much resistance you face from people regarding hypnotherapy, and some are scared of even getting hypnotized.
Those are two questions that are interesting to bring together, because when people come in the first time, for sure they're already ready, because they don't come to me out of the blue. They've thought about it. They've inquired about it. They have tried to get over their worries about it. They've done research. So they have prepped themselves. In a way, they're open. But the thing about hypnosis is that you're always conscious. You have always control. If I were trying to get you to relax, and I was saying, just take a few nice, long, slow, deep breaths now. And with every breath in, just let yourself relax. And what if, I hadn't spent any time, getting to know you, getting to understand you, understanding your fear of, your reluctance about it, and addressing those issues. Then there would be resistance, because that person, and to tell you first, everyone can do hypnosis. Everyone can think, everyone can breathe, everyone can do hypnosis. But it depends on whether, on the kind of rapport you have with the hypnotherapist. If you trust that person with, it's not that person is going to, I think when people come to me, they don't have the bigger fear of being taken advantage of. It's opening up. It's opening up to someone when you don't even know, although you do know, when you don't even know what's there and you're not even ready for it. And so you do have to take the time to, develop that trust. And most people do. I rarely, and another reason why people have resistance is because sometimes they really, really want to solve a problem, but there's a part of them that doesn't. There's a part of them that feels secure in the old way of doing things. And so what's important as a hypnotherapist is to allow that part to be heard, to be valued, and to, when you bring something out in the open, it's less scary, right? So uh, uh, resistance, fear in hypnotherapy, it has to do with trust, and it has to do with really understanding, listening to the client. Yeah.
Makes sense. Uh, Ellen, after reading a lot about you, I realized that you have categorized hypnotherapy into two silos: a general hypnotherapy and a medical hypnotherapy. So, for the audience watching this podcast, how did you? Is that the standard way, or is this your own analogy on breaking down hypnotherapy in two different silos? And what do you have under each silo? What do you mean by general and what's medical?
It's hard to categorize all the things you do because the mind is so vast. The possibilities are so vast, and people want to know if you can help them in this or in this. And so, this is just my attempt. And there is a big field of medical hypnotherapy. And of course, general hypnotherapy is anxiety, depression, fear, phobia, shame, heartbreak, um, self-esteem, all these issues that prevent you from being the best that you can possibly be, of developing your potential, in a relationship, at home, at work. Medical hypnotherapy is um, when you can begin to affect different parts of the body that are suffering, that something is wrong, there's a weakness of some sort. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it was created that the problem was created by an emotional problem, or that you were born with it. There are all kinds of things that can happen in life that, and so I think you mentioned earlier IBS,
Yes.
Irritable Bowel Syndrome, and like here is a kind of a syndrome that that happen. They don't quite understand why it all happens, but sometimes it happens when you have a really severe gastrointestinal problem, an acute a poison, whatever, and your gastrointestinal system just gets screwed up, and it's as though all those organs in your body have forgotten how to do it. And so it's and so you keep having symptoms, really uncomfortable symptoms, and probably the worst is having no control over your bowels. I mean, that is terrifying when someone can't go more than 100 yards away from a toilet. And so this is something that this is a problem that research has done a great job on. And there's so many things that hypnotherapy has been researched on, you'd be surprised. But in this case, over 3 months, IBS symptoms can be eradicated. and a person getting back to their normal digestion. And it's just, using, and, I use, in hypnotherapy, you want to just learn every kind of approach possible, because maybe the one can't deal with that. So you borrow from ideas from as many practitioners as you can. So, so back to your question, there's pain. And, pain, obviously, when we talk about it as in hypnosis, we're talking mainly about chronic pain. When, something has happened, maybe you've had an accident, and pain is natural, it's important, it's your own, it's your own alarm system to tell you to take care, there's something happening, and get it attended, to go to the doctor. And the doctor takes care of it, gives you a shot, or gives you a sling, and over time the pain disappears. That is the cycle of pain. But when pain doesn't leave and the body has healed, then that there's a faulty loop of that pain. And your somehow your body has learned to respond, your nervous system has learned to respond to that signal, or has learned not to recognize that it's healed. So, just in these two examples, it's just a matter, because the unconscious mind, if you think that, and I say the unconscious mind or subconscious mind, I just mean the total of all those cells in your body that have an unconscious component, that all of the cells in your body that are floating in emotions, that once you feel them, your entire body responds to them. So,
so let me ask you then, have you ever used self-hypnosis?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I've been lazy about that. That's in my goals over the next few years. I've been so preoccupied with widening, expanding, deepening my my skills, my understanding, my intuition, that I go to other hypnotherapists, but every one of them says, "Ellen, do you do self-hypnosis?" And I'm embarrassed, but I don't. And that's next. That's next. That'll be the next interview.
Nothing to be embarrassed about. Okay. It's a process, right? Everything takes time.
It's a process. Everything takes time. Definitely.
So what is your ideal client then? Because as you mentioned, you shared so many, problems under general as well as medical hypnotherapy. Do you have a certain set of criteria to take someone as client, or like what's your screening in your own mind? What's your screening process? Okay, maybe is he or she is not the right
one. This is something that just happened yesterday. It's interesting. The most important criterion is that the person is highly motivated to do hypnosis, because that person might think that I'm the one that has the power, but I'm powerless. I have to simply help that person use their power. And if that person comes with the thought of trying it out, trying implies failure. You come to solve the problem. And yesterday, my office got a message saying, "I've been to hypnotherapy in Australia," because I'm in Hong Kong and there are a lot of expats, "and I had such a tremendous experience that I'd like to give my colleague a gift of a session of hypnotherapy. And
Oh, wow.
there's nothing wrong with her. She finds it interesting, but just to try it out. And I have had these clients before and it doesn't work. And I said to him, if she's interested in hypnotherapy, but not motivated to change, she'll come, but she won't get into it. And she won't feel that fantastic transformation that comes when you're really, really motivated to change. And in a way, it'll ruin that opportunity when she really needs it. She'll say, nah, I've tried hypnotherapy. It does nothing for me. I would rather someone just come to me when they have a problem or they have a goal, something they want to achieve. You can't just, you don't really experience the full power of it
So Ellen, so
unless you
as
come.
as an expert, when someone comes and tells you, I have tried this before, it has not worked for me, what is your response? What is it like? What triggers you? And you're like, no, maybe I
Oh,
can
it drives me. It
help.
drives me. I work, you know, I usually talk to people or communicate with people before they come in, so I already know. But sometimes that happens. It kind of slips under the radar, and there's something that just challenges me. I just work extra hard to develop trust, to allow them to relax, to know that they're in full control. They can at any point say, Ellen, could you put the air conditioning down? Or Ellen, I need to go to the washroom. Can I do that? Sure, go ahead and then come back. So, you know, it's simply a matter of developing that sense of trust that they are in control and that their unconscious mind will only take them where it's ready to take them.
Interesting. Um, I have a couple of more questions before I let you go. But there is something interesting I came across, and I want to share this with you, that hypnosis is now considered a valid reasoning or a component to be used in a startup business. And I'm saying that is because there was an article in TechCrunch. Investors have placed a $1.1 million bet on an app. So these are two brothers from Australia. They started a dress sharing app for women. They tried their best. You know how hard it is in a startup landscape. 9 out of 10 companies fail. But their father encouraged them and suggested they try hypnotherapy. Now, the good part, they did. They went and they got hypnotherapy sessions. And that gave them an idea. What if we could do this similar to meditation and bring our app in a market in a similar way that would be helpful? And that drove angel investors. Investors from USA and Australia actually invested $1.1 million to back up this app, which failed miserably, just based on hypnotherapy.
Did you say it failed miserably?
It did. It did not do well. So they had a tough year. They did not do well. And the father said, listen, why don't you try hypnotherapy? And going with their sessions, they kind of related an app. And they're like, what if we provide this app, the services that we are providing, in a very similar way as a form of meditation that the hypnotherapy provides?
Yes, I understand. Yeah. So, so they developed an app,
Yes.
like meditation apps, to do what hypnotherapy does.
So they actually started a dress sharing app for women. It was a solid product, but startup industry is very competitive. You only survive in startup industries once you get funding. You have to raise funding, venture capitalists, angel investors, it's the investors, it's the numbers game. But they were not able to do that at all. And they said, what if we try to relate this whole concept of the dress sharing app for women, like having the woman a perception. By using this app, you will feel the form of meditation, the same way we felt when we did our hypnotherapy. Because this is emotional. Hypnotherapy, when you're working with people, right? When they open up to you, trust, experience, it's emotional. And anything that you're tied with emotions is something very personal to your heart, So it brings that difference. It brings that experience, that feeling that I can trust. What they did for me is something I can relate myself to. Let's put it this way. So I was intrigued, and I'm actually going to watch this app and the story of this app to see how it does in the near future.
Yeah, I'd be interested in too. And I'm curious. As a hypnotherapist, you think, well, how can an app anticipate all the subtleties of the emotional parts of an issue? How can it do that dance of picking up on the subtle clues? And but that's from a hypnotherapist, and perhaps it does. And the second thing is, if you look up on YouTube or Vimeo, there are thousands of videos of actual sessions on different issues. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bring those together, how they bring the actual session with the kind of subtleties and individual, feelings and ideas and thoughts, because hypnosis is all about ideas, all about perceptions, all about beliefs. So, and those can be, extremely complex. So I'll be looking forward to it also. That's, obviously the brain is the next, it's the next frontier.
Yeah. So Ellen, now, with the pandemic, what was the biggest challenge? Did it bring more influx of clients to you? What kind of challenges you faced with the people going through the last year and a half of the pandemic around the globe?
Well, I'm not sure that but Hong Kong has had a very, very low incidence of COVID. It's been very controlled. It's been business as usual. There were a few, I think it was in January, when we were getting an increasing rate where there wasn't a lockdown, but people closed up. In a place like Hong Kong, everyone kind of responds on their own. Everyone wears masks. Well, I can't say everyone gets vaccines because they don't. But so just to say that I didn't have, the issues, the COVID issues that I got, where people worried that they haven't seen their parents in a long time, that they can't travel to the UK or to the States. Their parents are growing old and worrying that they might not see them, especially if they're ill. And of course, there were a lot of there were clients who were worried about the economy, the world economy, Hong Kong, China, America, that whole, propaganda conflict, if you want, is having an effect, and COVID is having an effect on consumer patterns, and Hong Kong, China, it's all about business. So a lot of expats are here for work and worried how how they're going to deal with the transition.
So,
Yeah,
Ellen, do you offer virtual sessions as well, or do you? So the reason I'm asking you is, if someone across the globe wants to reach out to you, do you offer virtual sessions, or you are limited to, like, I don't know, like, how does it work?
oh, of course I do.
Oh, you do?
Of
Okay.
course I
Okay.
do.
Okay, great.
And
If
so it's
someone wants
just
to
like
reach out to
this.
you, they
It's
can.
just like this. You know, it's a little bit different from my office. It's different to be there in person.
Okay.
But what happens is I have, you know, Americans, Europeans, Brits, and when they go home, you know, they contact me at some point, and we begin doing virtual sessions, and they feel there's no difference. You know, they don't have to travel here. They don't have to make an appointment. It's just the timing is always a bit tricky. But yeah, I do.
So this is great, because I will put in the description, your website, your LinkedIn, so people can contact you if they want to
Thank you.
have some
Thank you. I really
consultation.
appreciate that.
Of course, why not? Last question. I know you have to go. What is your message to the audience watching this podcast? If there was
Well,
something you wanted to say to them, once again, what would that be?
I think what I'd be really happy if I encouraged people to become aware of the power of their mind. That, you know, that I don't know where this statistic comes from. I've heard it for years. It's people in hypnosis know that this is the truth, is that 90 to 95% of everything we think, feel, do happens at an unconscious level. It's like, you know, the conscious mind is a little bit like, you know, what are those little machines that kids used to play with before 20
Video
years?
games? Video
I'm
games?
sorry?
Video games?
Yeah, video games. But remember you know, our conscious mind, our brain is a little bit like the little devices the kids used to play with before. It's limited in its ability to process data. You know, it's said that the mind can maybe hold 7, 8, 9 thoughts together, but you know, the brain, the unconscious part of us, can process millions of bits of information simultaneously. And so the possibilities, and you know, when you know that you are the boss of your mind, and that if you know you can do hypnosis, well, you know, of course I want to encourage people to think and use hypnosis, because you know, why waste your life when you know that you can just see someone just, you know, less than a handful of times. I say on average it's somewhere between 3 and 6 sessions, and sometimes it's just one, and you can be free and you can get on with your life. You can begin exploring things you've never had the courage to do. So I would just like people to become aware that those parts of themselves are accessible, and to
Uh,
hear that little voice in their mind, to listen to it.
well, Alan, this has been just an honor, and I can definitely tell you your brother Michael is proud of you. I am proud of you, and I'm 100% confident all your clients who you have helped are proud of you and are grateful for what you do, And
Thank you.
I'm just very happy, and once again, I'm very thankful to have you here. And I will look forward to speaking with you sometime soon again. So
Definitely, I look forward to it. And thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye, Alan. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.